Irons supporting food banks collects food and cash donations for needy families in Newham Borough and beyond. Please consider making a donation via their Just Giving page, the link for which you will find in the description section of this stream. Come on, you Irons!
West Ham are massive, everywhere we go! West Ham are massive, everywhere we go! Everywhere we go! West Ham are massive, everywhere we go! West Ham are massive, everywhere we go! Everywhere we go!
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the West Ham Massive. Thanks for joining us. If you're new around here, please don't forget to hit subscribe and make sure either way to hit the thumbs up on this particular stream. So obviously I did a live earlier on today. I've had a day off of work, wouldn't you know? It's been quite nice. And I had quite a lot of people that joined me on the stream at one point or another. We was in three figures, would you believe? It's quite good.
Wow.
And yeah, no,
Well
it was a nice little conversation that we had about the situation, and it all unfolded. And at the time I hit go live, it was one of those where there was obviously the story that came out from ex-WHU employee that said there was a provisional booking for a press conference, and I think everybody assumed at that point that it was probably going to announce that the king is dead, long live the king, essentially, and there was going to be a new name coming into the hot seat. That isn't quite what happened, because whilst I was going live, it was then announced that no, he's got the Wolves game as Julen Lopetegui. Now, I got to be honest with you, Ben, and I'm guessing a lot of people that we're going to get making comments. I personally think David Sullivan has bottled this.
I don't.
Okay.
No, I think. I don't think he's bottled it. I think, obviously, Rob, I went on today, and I think if you've had three figures, you fuckers need to do some work. You know what I mean? There's too many fucking West Ham fans on the dole.
Too many layabouts.
but
They should have
you know,
been doing work.
Yeah, they should have been grafting. But look, Rob, listen. Right, let's rewind the clock. Would Lopetegui have been anyone's first choice? Probably not many people.
No.
Yeah, but he's got the job. Yeah, so you want to support your manager, and listen, performances have been in the main poor. Performances have been poor. Results have been poor. Right, but you know, Arsenal have ripped us. When you sort of analyse the season.
Mm-hmm.
The games that we've lost, there's not that many, even though the manner of them has been a bit shit, i.e. losing at home to Chelsea 3-0 and they was 3-0 up after half an hour, you know, Arsenal going well ahead. Look, you know, these games have got out of control. Mm-hmm. But actually, when you analyse it, we were probably second favourites to win those games anyway. Yeah, the Newcastle game give us a bit of optimism. The Leicester one, Rob, you know, I feel sorry for Lopetegui in a way. Yeah, I think defensively he's setting us up a little bit too open, and we've been exposed. Yeah, but there's multiple facets to this. We've had the most shots. We've had the most shots we've ever had in the Premier League. Yeah, he can't legislate for a bunch of fucking spastics in front of goal. That are fucking, you know, that are just muppets, yeah. 30-odd shots. The man, you know, he can't legislate for. We've overhauled the defence, yeah. Yep. You know, we've overhauled the defence, but the defence is still very weak. Yeah, I just feel like this. I think Steidton. I just don't like the fucking setup. Yeah. Director of football, you know, the players we brought in are probably Steidton's picks, to a certain extent, and I just feel like I feel for Lopetegui. I think he's so up against it, and I just think when he's up against it, you know, there's glimpses of positivity on the pitch with some of the football. And I genuinely feel, well, before ball, sorry, Rob, sorry, I'm rabbiting on, yeah?
No.
But I just feel like before ball was kicked this season, we all knew we was in a transitional season, yeah? But no one can accept it now that it's here. Do you get what I'm saying? They want to pull the trigger, even though it's a project, yeah? It's a long-term plan, but people just don't like going through a bit of shit because they just think, let's just pull the trigger and get someone else in.
I think it's the old thing, isn't it? You only like change if you like the change. And I don't think that there's anybody that's watching the change that's unfolding before their eyes. And I don't think anybody likes what they see.
No, I agree. Look, I agree. But there's just something that is telling me he'd come good if we give him the chance. But I feel like with the away fans singing "You're getting sacked" in the morning, we've already washed our hands. That the fans they're just not with him, and that disappoints me a lot, Rob. I just feel like we seem to have a fan base that unless you've got fucking 300 appearances for West Ham, after 10 games, if you ain't done it, we'll start singing "You're getting sacked" in the morning. And I think that's, I don't care if people go, oh, well, we had 3,000 fans at Newcastle on a Monday night. Support the team and support the manager, because I think that's piss poor from our fan base.
Okay. What do you think about the story that's come out that by all accounts, the hierarchy have been having conversations behind the scenes? And the word on the street is that Graham Potter is believed to be the one that's been approached, and that he was apparently offered the job to replace Julen Lopetegui on a 6-month contract. What do you make of that? Because I just look at that. That's largely the reason why I think Sullivan's bottled it, to be honest. If he had any ambition, if he knows that Lopetegui is not the guy, he's a busted flush and he needs to be replaced, then surely you go and get someone with and you show a little bit of belief in them. And it just strikes me as a 6-month deal is not really showing that sort of positivity.
Yeah, I haven't heard that story, Rob. But if we park the fact that I'd like to give Lopetegui a little bit more time, Potter would have been my number one choice from day one. I like Graham Potter. I rate him. I liked what he'd done at Brighton. Obviously, Chelsea was a tough gig. But if I'm honest, though, Rob, don't you feel? Again, I don't want to sound like a fucking. I don't particularly like Sullivan, yeah. But why should managers of a football team, but park in this scenario, yeah, come in, do a shit job, yeah, and then get paid off 5 million quid their full contract? I would say, actually, what he's saying is right. It's like any other walk of life, any other role, any other profession, right? You have a probation period, don't you? And if it ain't working out, you say, listen, mate, it ain't working out, fuck off. I think if that was the case, Rob, he could have given him a year's contract and say there's a break clause after 6 months, and no one needs to know about that. Do you get what I'm saying? But because you just don't know. He's been burnt with this one, and he's thinking, this guy, he ain't even been in the job 6 months. I might have to palm him off however much it is. Let's say 5 million quid. That could be more than what it is, and he might be thinking, well,
3 a year apparently.
It's not a bottomless pit. So I get what you're saying. That doesn't seem to be how these manageable. What we've been watching, 3-0 loss to Chelsea, 3-1, 5-2, playing out of position. What the fuck are you on about, mate? Yeah, who's playing out of position? Quite frankly, like no one's playing out of position, right? The football, the results have been shit, but we've got exactly the same record from the last 14 games as last season as the first 14 games of this season. So yeah, there was a big overhaul. We had a poor side towards the end of last season, and we've got a poor side this season. We've spent money, but we've got a new manager and a raft of new players. So, you know, it's unfortunate, but I don't know who's been playing out of position, Rob. You know, it's
Well, Wan-Bissaka, Carlos Soler.
he's a fucking fullback, Rob. He can play right back, left back. Soler's played what, 5 games, and he's played most of them central midfield. You know, let's not make out this geezer's fucking putting Bowen at fullback, right?
No,
You know,
I get that.
He's rotated the squad. Wan-Bissaka played left back because we had a game 3 days after, and Emerson was looking a bit jaded. So we're rotating the squad. That's what teams do. I don't think he's playing players out of position. Is he getting the best out of the team? No. Right. But I just think it's a project. Like I say, I keep thinking back to the likes of Unai Emery at Arsenal, where I guarantee you now, right, is Unai Emery a good manager?
I'd say so.
So when he was at Arsenal, was he a good manager then? Yes, he fucking was. But they was going through a transitional period, and they decided we're not going to wait that long. You know, if we're not happy with it at the moment, we're going to pull the trigger. If you'd have given him a couple of seasons, he'd have had them challenging like he's got Villa challenging. That's all I'm thinking is I can see a lot of similarities with things from previous managers where, you know, Eddie Howe, I can't think where he was, and they sacked him, and then he goes to Newcastle, and look, he's a good manager because he was always a good manager. So
what do you make of the stories coming out, though, that he's fell out already with multiple players? The latest of which being Jean-Claire Todibo. Now, I'll be perfectly honest with you, mate. I've not been entirely impressed with Todibo himself. I'll get that out there straight away. But it appears that he and Lopetegui have fallen out to the extent where Lopetegui has told Todibo, you will never play for West Ham again. And he's training with the under-21s. So, and this is a player that we don't actually own right now, but we're committed to be shelling out, I think, the best part of £38 million in the summer. And he's just told him, you'll never play for me again.
Yeah, I mean, look, the lad's hardly played, Rob. He seems quite fragile physically, that he can't get a run of games. He looked good when he did play, but then, you know, all of a sudden he picks up a knock. I mean, I don't like that attitude. He's a new player, and he should just be winding it in. I get that maybe the tactics against Arsenal, I mean, we was getting ripped apart, quite frankly, whether it was the tactics or the individual performances. So yeah, there was probably a little bit of both and a bit of a challenge. But for someone who's hardly played to be giving it the large one at half time, I just think you know, he's got no right to be saying anything. If it was Jared Bowen as captain, maybe having a word. But Rob, I'm not. You know, it's not like I'm a huge Lopetegui fan. I'd want to give the guy a chance because he's our manager. It is concerning to hear that he might have fell out with Cowardice earlier in the season. Todibo, you know, there's a couple, but I don't like the fact that these things are being linked. Who's leaking them in the dressing room from the start? It's not, you know, it's not a good vibe at the minute. And I think if I was a betting man, even if he gets to Wolves game, he might not get much longer than that. You know, it's very difficult to foresee how this one's going to pan out. I mean, if we lose against Wolves, he's definitely gone. But then if we beat Wolves and then we lose the next game, does he go then? It's very difficult to see how this one's going to pan out. But I fear for Lopetegui's future. Let's just say that.
I mean,
but you know, but to be honest though, Rob, sorry to
no, carry on.
It's just some of the names that are being linked. They don't fill me with much excitement.
Fair enough. What what do you? I mean, you said about how are these stories getting leaked out? I'm just going to throw something out there, and I don't know whether this is I'm barking up the wrong tree or not. But he's fell out with Caduce. He's fell out with Alvarez. He's fell out with Todibo, and it also appears that he doesn't have the most harmonious of relationships with Tim Stuyton. And those three players that I've just mentioned are, by all accounts, acolytes of the aforementioned Tim Stuyton. So, and also don't forget that Tim Stuyton fell out with David Moyes. We know that. So, is there a possibility that maybe the problem might not be the guy in the dugout? And I'm just throwing it out there for people to consider.
Well, Rob, absolutely. And this is the thing. I said this a little while back when the rumours of Moyes and Stuyton falling out. And look, the football under Moyes was getting a bit stale towards the end. It's difficult to dispute that. But when it was a case of, oh, Stuyton wants this and Moyes wants that, what the fuck is Stuyton? Well, what gives him any clout whatsoever? He's never been a manager, as far as I'm aware. I just don't like this fucking European style of football. Give me the fucking old school Alex Ferguson, chairman. That's it. They run the club, right? Why you need this other fucking muppet coming in and meddling, buying players that, if it works out, it just feels like it's such a responsibility-free role for these geezers that might have gone to university and studied fucking sports management. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
They've played a lot of Championship Manager, so these pricks think they're fucking educated and qualified to be a director of football. It's crap, right? If we're going to do that, give it to Mark Noble, because he's got a role. He's got the ethos. He wants to give the youth a chance, and not some geezer that's just going to, after 10 games, I don't like this manager. Well, you didn't like the last one, and he was probably our most successful in the last 30 years. I'm not a big fan of this Stuyton.
Well, he wasn't even a director of football. A lot of people think he had the director of football role at Leverkusen, but a lot of people tell me that that's not the case. And he was essentially the chief scout there. This is his first gig as a director of football, technical director. Call it what you want. This is his first run at it, and you'll have to forgive me for saying this, guys, but he's fell out with one manager. He's fell out with another manager. He's got players that are taking one side over the other and in his favour. It just seems to me that since he's sort of rocked up, it doesn't seem to be the most happy of camps. It might be that that's a coincidence, but there it is.
Well, and I do actually, Rob, I've not thought about this, and you're trying to pinpoint different things. I actually think our fucking downfall pretty much coincides when he gets a job at West Ham. Do you get what I'm saying? I feel like he's been around for about a year or so, and the players he's brought in the main, I'd say it's been a mixed bag. Some of them have started off well, some of them haven't. Like Tilo Kehrer, that's that. Like Mavropanos, like these sorts of signings are they're nothing. We had better players before. Craig Dawson would be fucking. He'd be the best centre half we got. And it's a difficult one, mate. We've harped on about different things. It'd be nice to see a few of the young lads getting a run out of some description other than on the bench, just to give us something to shout about. There's a few half decent individual performances, like Sully'S. Even though he's been played wildly out of position in central midfield, every game I've seen recently, he looks like he's stepping up to the plate a little bit. Somerville, do you know what? It was just disappointing. It was disappointing. I actually think if we'd have kept the 11 on the pitch from the second half, instead of making the subs kind of halfway through, I think we get something out of that game. I don't know why. I just feel like the subs that we made when we brought Antonio Paqueta on, and I think there was another one. Who did we bring on? Emerson. I just feel like actually we were getting through and creating things, and bringing them three on. We lost the impetus a little bit, and maybe it was a bit of bad luck. Obviously, the suit check disallowed thing. Yeah, it's probably a 50-50 in today's game, and then they go and score a second. Listen, Lopetegui he needs a miracle. He looks like he's half decent going forward, but half decent, not that great because we're not scoring loads. But defensively, I mean, I don't know if he's got a specific defensive coach, but we need massive improvement in that area for sure.
Well, if he has got a defensive coach, I'd love to know what the fuck he's been doing, because we're conceding 2 goals a game.
And I mean, I think one of our friends in the group said we're like a poor man's Ange Postecoglou.
I can edit that bit out, mate.
It's just we're so high up. I mean, listen, I'm all for playing up the high line to try and condense the midfield and keep the ball, but we've gone from one extreme to the other. We've gone from being camped on our 18-yard box to playing 5 yards from the halfway line. I mean, I don't know, mate. It's a difficult one. I think he's banging trouble.
What do you think? I was thinking about this earlier on. We obviously played a very high line against Leicester, and we got exposed. There's no doubt about that. And a little while after that, I saw this report out there saying how a certain Naya Figuer is ripping it up for Sociedad, and apparently he's now on the radar of Real Madrid. Now, I often thought when he was played under David Moyes and we played the low block style of football, I did kind of think that he looked there like it didn't suit him. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
His big attribute, a lot of people know, is recovery pace, coming back to make last-ditch challenges sort of thing. So when you're playing a low block, that weapon is very much negated by that tactical setup.
Yeah.
I now think if he'd have been in the back line, probably in place of Kilman, because they're both left-sided centre-backs, how would that have gone? We'll never know, but I do think he probably would have been better suited to this style of football.
Yeah, there's a few things to that, Rob. You're right, 100%. I think, again, listen, look, Todibo's not shown much. Mavropanos is showing that actually, I don't think he's a Premier League footballer. I mean, he looks all right for Greece. He looks all right for Greece at international level. But I actually thought he was meant to be quick. Fucking hell, he looked like he had fucking lead boot. I thought I was watching the fucking white Kurt Zuma when Vardy went past him. He had fucking lead boots on. But the thing is, Rob, Agerd, look, we're struggling letting Zuma, Agerd, and Ogbonna go. We're lacking experience because they're all still fairly young. And again, Rob, again, I don't really buy. Just because two people are two left-footed centre halves. I mean, how many over the years centre halves do you think were both right-footed? Fucking pretty much every combination throughout history. Yeah, it's only in the last sort of 5 to 10 years. Oh, we need a left-sided centre half. Fuck that. A Gerd being in the squad would be a good option with Kilman. That would be, probably the first choice.
Yeah.
But
Billy Bonds and
I
Alvin
think,
Martin, both right-footed.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think, do I rate Agerd? Not really. Oh, he's probably more suited to Spanish football. He's a bit weak in the Premier League. But look, it just feels like defensively, no matter who we get in, we're still shit.
Yeah,
we,
cursed.
we, we, we could get the fucking reincarnation of Baresi and Maldini at centre half, and we'd still lose fucking 5-0 every week. I don't know why.
Well, once upon a time, we had arguably, in our eyes, the best centre half that's ever been in Bobby Moore, and we still shipped loads of goals back then. So go
It's in our
figure.
DNA.
Yeah.
So look, Rob, I just wanted to come on briefly, give you a bit of support, and just throw my 2 pence in. I think in amongst, put it this way, when we're eating our Christmas dinner, I think it's unlikely Lopetegui's still going to be here. Is he going to get a turkey out of this one? Probably not.
Doubt
Yeah.
it.
Do I feel a little bit sorry for the guy, because I feel like, with Steidton and there's been some positives, not that many. There's been, like I say, it's difficult to legislate for the poor defensive performances, but when you've had your most shots ever in the Premier League and then don't score until the last minute, it's difficult to say that. It's difficult to pinpoint it all on the manager when, in fairness, the Leicester goalie made a few good saves and we was just wasteful in front of goal, and then they've done us in the last minute and on the break. But look, if we can go out there, out of the names I've heard, and I'd like an English manager, Rob. I'm English. We're an English team. I want to see English players in the side. Potter would be my number one choice. Michael Carrick would be one that I'd consider, with the West Ham connection, and he's worked under Alex Ferguson. I think he could be a good appointment. And people might think I'm mad, but someone's mentioned Southgate, and I don't think that'd be the worst appointment in the world either. I definitely prefer them three over some of the other names that I've heard into the mix, but that's just my opinion.
Scott Parker be an outside shout?
Yes, yeah. Like I say, I think he's got the experience. I think I like Scott Parker. Always have done. Has he been linked? I don't know.
He hasn't. I mean, Carrick has obviously been linked, but again, I think probably what's going to sort of like stop him is, well, probably partly due to the fact that he's already in a contract, and as we know, Sullivan doesn't like to pay the compensation. But then I'm thinking, well, he's at a championship club, so probably the compensation package is not going to be extortionate. I don't know.
It's a risky one with no Premier League experience. I get that. I really get that. But I mean, Lopetegui only had 12 games worth of Premier League experience, and we give him a shout. So,
yeah. Well,
I don't know,
Bilic
Rob.
didn't have any Premier League experience, did he? And he didn't do too bad.
No. So, yeah, I think that's probably all I'm going to contribute tonight, mate. Because I'm absolutely shattered after work. But yeah, who knows what's going to happen?
I don't think anyone does, mate. But see, I'll be honest. Before you go, I'll just get this out there. My concern is that as I say, I think he's bottled it, Sullivan, because my concern is, and when I say bottled it, I'm saying in showing a lack of ambition. Like I say, if you think that Lopetegui is not the guy and you think that Potter is the guy, why are you offering him a 6-month contract? That's the first thing. The second thing is that be very aware that our next game's against Wolves. Gary O'Neill's under serious pressure. They have also been linked with Graham Potter. Now, just supposing, Ben, which is not inconceivable, let's suppose we win against Wolves, right?
Yeah.
they then jettison Gary O'Neill, and then they go and install Graham Potter. We're now one option less. I mean, I suppose you could make the argument that, okay, well, we're not really because Gary O'Neill's on the market, but would we go for Gary O'Neill? I don't know, but the point is that then that option of going to get Graham Potter is negated by the fact that we've got a victory against Wolves, and then realistically, we then look at the next fixtures: Bournemouth, Brighton, Liverpool coming up. I mean, do you actually think that all of a sudden there's going to be an upsurge in performance? He's fell out with half of the dressing room. The technical director and he are at loggerheads. It's just an absolute shit show.
Yeah, you're right, Rob. You know, I can't really disagree with anything you're saying. I think it's looking like the writing's on the wall, but there's just something. There's something that just does tell me give him one more game. I think, you know, the performance against Leicester. It sounds weird saying it. We didn't go out there and get dominated and smashed. Yeah, we got done in the first minute. We got done on the break. Other than that, we dominated the game in every capacity other than the scoreline. So I think that's what is just giving the board that just the one. They're saying, look, just give him one more chance. Give him one more chance home against Wolves and see how we get on. And I'm not. If I was a betting man, I'd say he'll be gone by Christmas. But I just got a feeling we give him a little bit more time, he might come good. And I don't know why I think that. I've just got a feeling.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Right. Well, I think that probably brings us nicely to a conclusion, Ben. So thanks for joining us, and thank you to all of you guys that have joined us in the live chat out there in YouTube land. And if you're new around here, please don't forget to drop a subscribe on the channel. It really would be appreciated. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up as well, because that helps to grow the channel. And don't forget to give your support to the Iron Supporting Food Banks charity as well. We will see you next time. Come on, you Irons.
Iron Supporting Food Banks collects food and cash donations for needy families in Newham Borough and beyond. Please consider making a donation via their Just Giving page, the link for which you will find in the description section of this stream. Come on, you Irons.